I'm getting so tired. I'm getting so.
Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and welcome to the show, y'all. Now look, Mac D is talking to his mother like she's some kind of stranger. Like she's not the person that gave birth to him or raised him at all. And see, this is where I walk through. Man, in the pod, and I hear him on the phone talking to his mama like she's some kind of nothing, calling all kind of B's and H's and saying what he gonna do to her if she don't do what he said, talking like he can have people come through the spot and do something to her and all this and that. And I'm talking about just yelling and going off, and everybody in the pod can hear it. And it is an embarrassment. Because don't no Mac handle themselves that way. Now, no real Mac. You find somebody that talking about they Macking and all this and that, and they getting all outraged like that, they in their feelings, y'all. They in their feelings. And see, he was in his feelings. And when a man is in their feelings, ain't no telling what they'll do. So I bumped down on him. I said, hey, Mac D, who you talking to, bro? And he looked at me like it ain't no big deal. And he said, man, I'm talking to my dumb ass mama. And I was like, what? Frozen. I was like frozen because, those of you that don't know, my mother died when I was 7 years old. 7 years old. And I still miss my mama every day. I do. Every day. And when you think about it in those terms, it's hard, man. See, I couldn't imagine talking to my mama like that. I just couldn't. Just thinking about it, telling this story, messing with me some kind of way. So I told him, I said, man, watch your mouth, man, when you talk to your mom. Now, look, let me tell you something. When I said that to him, his whole facial expression changed. And it wasn't no aggressive look. He knew better than that. Now, I'm in his business, of course. But he hadn't heard a man talk to him like that. He hadn't heard that. As a matter of fact, when I walked over to him, I said, give me the phone. I got on the phone, I said, hello? And his mama said, hello? I said, how you doing, man? I said, this Joe T. I said, yeah, I'm in charge of your son. He under me. And I said, I want to apologize to you for how he talked to you. And she said, baby, it's okay. I said, no, it ain't. And I'm going to deal with him about this. I'm going to deal with him. So I'm going to give him this phone back. And y'all continue your conversation. But when he get done with this conversation, he going to have to deal with me. So he's sitting there on the little bench part where the phone is. I hand him the phone back, right? And I give him that look. And then I tell him, come see me when you get off this phone. He said, GD there, folks. But he had that nervousness in his voice cracking. So I go in the cell, I'm talking to my number 2 in my COS, and I tell him, I said, man, I don't even know what's up with this brother, but bro, them let me know, look, bro, you all in somebody else being, and you can't be getting into being. I said, let me tell you something. And this is something that both of y'all better get about me. If you got somebody that's emotionally unhinged, you don't need them around, none of us. He talking to his mama like that, he don't care nothing about his mama, he most definitely don't care nothing about us. And I don't want somebody like that around me. Do we understand each other? And when I put it to them in terms like that, they look back at me, they said, man, I feel you on that. I wasn't looking at it that way. I said, so when he come in this room, we all gonna be on the same page or it's gonna be a problem. They said, no, bro, we with you. We wasn't looking at it like that. I said, that's what's up. So after about 10 or 15 minutes, Mac D come over to the cell. He knock on the door. I said, yeah, what's up? He said, it's me, bro, Mac D. I said, man, come on in, man. It's open. It's the penitentiary. Ain't no doors locked until it's locked down. You hear me? So he step up in there. He sit down. You know what I'm saying? Like in the rooms are so tight. You know, you got one bench. You know what I'm saying? Then you got the beds, and there's bunk beds at the time. So I'm sitting on the bunk bed on the bottom where where I sit near the head, and then my number two's on, you know what I'm saying, the other end, and we both just sitting there chilling. And then so Mac D, when he came in, the toilet is by the door. He sat down on the toilet by the door, right? And he said, hey, bro, he said, 1,000 pardons on what you heard me saying to my mom, right? And I just cut straight into him. I said, man, you talk to your mom like that on a regular basis? And he was blunt with me. He said, man, my mom ain't straight. She weak. I leaned in, looked at him. I said, what makes your mom weak, bro? He said, man, I'm treating her the same way my daddy treated her. She don't mind that. That's what she like. I said, let me tell you something, bro. I said, because I don't even like getting in your business like it. But I have a problem with people that, man, don't respect their parents the way they should. And don't get it twisted. I'm not trying to be a hypocrite. Because now, the way that I see the world, I know that I was being disrespectful to my parents, even though they are deceased. I was being disrespectful to my parents by living the lifestyle that I was living, if you understand what I'm saying. You know, but that's a new revelation for me. You feel me? So I don't want you to think I'm being a hypocrite, but back in the day, I wasn't seeing it that way. I didn't see the full picture. But anyway, let me get back to the story. So I'm looking at him, I'm like, look, I don't know what it is, man. What makes you think that's cool? I don't care what your daddy did. I said, but as long as you on this compound and you up under me, you ain't gonna be talking to your mama that way. Look here, this young brother stood up off the toilet. And he said, bro, you can't tell me how to talk to mine. I ain't even stand up. I looked at him. About that time, my number two stood up and my COS stood up. My COS said, sit down, bro. Ain't nobody told you to stand up. Now, see, the whole reason for him saying that was to test the water. See, because you a grown man, you stand up and sit down as you want to, right? So when Mac D sat back down, we knew then he ain't want no smoke. He ain't want no smoke. That was just like a muscle reaction. You know what I'm saying? Like you hit somebody in the knee and it just kicks out. That's all that was. When I said what I said, he automatically stood up. You see what I'm saying? But when bro told him to sit back down, he sat right back down. I ain't even get up. I just looked at him. Like, how does he think this is going to end? How does he think this is going to turn out? So when he sat back down, I told him, I said, man, I need to try to understand a little bit more about this, man. He said, man, my mama went straight to my daddy, so my daddy was hard on him. Period, point blank. I'm like, how was your mama disrespectful to your daddy? And I ain't normally like getting that deep into nobody's business, but I said, how was your mama disrespectful to your daddy? He couldn't answer it. She was at home when she wasn't at work. She was cooking when she wasn't cleaning. You understand what I'm saying? She was doing all of those types of things. As far as he knew, she was being the wife that she was supposed to be. No, he didn't know nothing about her sneaking and creeping when they weren't there. But as far as he knew, she was being the wife that she was supposed to be. It was dude that was beating on her, embarrassing her in the streets, walking around with other women in the street, not even trying to be discreet about what he was doing. It was him that was doing these things, but he couldn't look at his daddy. And I say all that to say this. This is the part where we need to try to understand that the behavior that we exhibit and we show our kids, right, or the people that are around us, the people that are watching, they learn how to act towards other people from how we act in front of them, right? Can we be in agreement with that? And if we can, hit me up in the comment sections and let me know. You understand what I'm saying? We set the example for them. I want to ask y'all a question. And I really want y'all to comment about this to me, man. Talk to me about this, okay? I want you to think about something that influenced your life that came from your parents positively and negatively. Dig deep. Dig deep. Because when this question was posed to me, when this question was posed to me, I had to really think about it, man. You know, like I told y'all, my mama died when I was 7 years old, right? And my daddy was in the penitentiary, you know, and he was in the penitentiary before she passed away. And I remember my mama, she had a boyfriend, and I came in the room one day, and her boyfriend had a pair of wire pliers. Y'all know what wire pliers are? You know, you take the nuts and bolts off of, you know, stuff with. Man, he had a pair of wire pliers, man, and he had my mama's earlobe in the wire, you know, holding it together and pulling her towards him, man, like she was some kind of dog. You don't even treat a dog like that. But I remember seeing that, and I got to thinking about, she don't know that I saw that, but I saw my mama on her knees crying and begging him to stop. But he was pulling her towards him, you know? And it left an impression on me, man. It left an impression on me. And I always think about, you know, when my mom was put in a situation like that, what was she thinking? What was she going through? Why did she even agree to let somebody do her like that? Not to say she was like, yeah, do it. It was like, what do you do after that? And then I got to thinking about all the different situations that we found ourselves in, you know, when my daddy was gone, and how that influenced our lives. My daddy being gone, my mama had to do the best she could to provide for us. Yeah, she worked. My mama worked, you know. But we had to get a lot of help from our grandparents, her parents and daddy's parents, to just make it. You know, and she did the best she could to make us not understand how poor we was, how bad off we were. But I remember we moved around a lot. Never staying in one place too long, and now I understand because we didn't have the money to pay the rent, to do this and do that, and that's why, you know, our grandparents was always filling the gap, you know? And that had an effect on me. It really did something to me as far as like being able to fully be involved in a relationship. I always wondering and thinking, you know, when is it gonna go south, and all of those different types of things. And it took me to have to reprogram my mind to start to understand that everybody's not like that. Everybody's not gonna mistreat you, you know? I think about sometime with my sister when she talks about how daddy not being there messed her up, you know? She never really understood how a man should treat her, because she didn't have good examples of that. My daddy wasn't there, so she was fine with an absentee relationship. You know, somebody coming and going, because that's what it was with daddy, coming and going. You know, these different types of things that we do in front of our kids and our grandkids and our nieces and nephews, they're learning these things from us. It may not be intentional that we want them to learn these things, but when they watch, they see this is the example that we're setting. But see, we'll get so caught up in what we tell them to do and don't do this and don't do that, we forget about what we're showing them through our actions or through our inactions. You know? And they suck all of it up like a sponge. And the next thing you know, they're on the phone calling their mama all kind of B's and H's and being disrespectful to them. And everybody's wondering why, how. And then the parents are slow to correct it, because you don't have to tell a person that's coming to the know or is being self-aware, you don't have to tell them how much they messed up somebody's life. They know. It's no telling how many times, how many days and nights his mom cried herself to sleep thinking about the things that she allowed to happen by choice or by force in front of him that molded and shaped the way he treated her. Because she had to question, you know, some of the things that he said and done. Like when I was talking to in one of the other episodes about this, where she said the language sounded familiar. How he was talking, it sounded familiar. How he could jump from being angry to mild like that. It all looked familiar because his daddy was able to do that. He was mimicking the behavior that he saw in his daddy. And see, other things that happen to you when you do that, you lose. If you lose respect for your mother, you lose respect for authority. You lose respect for authority, then the whole structure breaks down, and now you are able to do anything. Get out on the street selling drugs, robbing, stealing, and killing, raping, all of that. All of that. And then you end up in prison, and then all of a sudden everybody around you, they'll say, what happened? What happened? And I also want to say this because I don't want people to get it twisted. You don't have to end up in prison to be wrong about what you're doing and how you living. See, it's more people that's wrong about how they living and what they doing that don't end up in prison than do. Do I need to repeat that? Do I need to repeat that? Because see, a lot of people get on these high horses and talk about the people like me because they're not in prison. But you got to think about, what did you get away with? Do you even understand the behavior that you exhibited? You know what I'm saying? And how it affected you in your life. You, not somebody else, you first. Right? Think about that. All I'm trying to get you to see is this. The whole point of this story, MACD, is this, y'all. We have to start to focus on how we ended up thinking and acting the way we do. Because if you can grasp that, if you can grab a hold to that, you can really get to the heart of the matter and change your behavior from the root. See, a lot of us want to change the root, change our behavior, say, okay, when the thought comes into my head, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to tell myself that it's wrong, and that'll keep me from doing it, right? I submit to you that works sometimes. But if you want to pull the root up, you got to get back to what makes me think this is okay. And when you pull up that root, you don't even have those thoughts no more. You don't have those thoughts no more. You won't. You can use them as references, and when you talk about like what I do in my stories, this is why this is why that. But when I identify the root cause of a particular negative behavior that I have, I lock it down. I don't ignore it. I explore it so I can find out what influenced me to be this way. Where did I learn this lesson from? Where did I get it from? And sometimes I have to be honest and say that I got it from, as much as I love my mother, I got it from watching my mother, how she interacted with men. It wasn't a lot of men. I don't want y'all to misunderstand that. I want you to understand that a lot of the behaviors that I have, I got from my father, not being there. Going to visit him at prison. When he was there, the way he acted. Not being open and honest with how he really felt. He never sat me down and said, don't be open and honest about how you feel. I could see it. It's almost like you're connected to your parents in some telepathic way that they're not even aware of. And you understand exactly what they're doing and why they're doing it to the extent that your young mind can understand, and you mimic it. You mimic it because they're showing you how to survive. It's just like an animal in the wild is born. They watch their parents and then they learn how to survive in the wild. And that's what I did. That's what MACD did. And it affects people differently. It affects people differently. But I want you to learn from me without having to do it. Figure out why you do what you do, and you'll be like MACD. Because when I set MACD down that one day, we ended up talking every day after that. And now he don't talk to his mama like that. He don't. He's done with that. He sees why that's wrong. He understands why that's wrong because he understands where it came from. He was modeling negative behavior. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all.